Okay, so now we are working on lesson 4. So this here is 2.2. Now, pie charts are a little bit more difficult. They tend to be the hardest part of this unit. So this is 2.4. So please make sure you are reading this carefully. As well, normally what I do is I do teach protractors. In this case, because everyone's online, I'm not going to do that. And we're going to do some estimation instead whenever you have to draw one. Okay. So we call these circle graphs, or you may have seen them as pie charts, right? And so these are used to display how a whole is divided, right? How a whole data set, whether it's the amount of people in the class or the amount of the population or the amount of like the workforce, whatever it is, you need to, your circle always needs to add up to 100%. I cannot have here's this, blah, 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 blah. Here's this. This is one thing. This is another thing. This is another thing. I can't have where like this green part here is blank, right? This needs to be something. So all your data needs to add up to 100%. So one other thing to kind of note here is that circles have 360 degrees. And we represent that with this little symbol here. It's a little dot, right? That's a degree. So whenever you display data, I strongly recommend you always put in the following. You need to put the percentage of it. I'll show you how to calculate that. You need to put an amount, a physical amount, 5 people, 6 people, 1,000 people, some amount of people or things or something. And then you need to put in the degrees. So you are representing 3 points of data before you draw your graph, okay? So we're going to start here with how to read one. So the following circle graph shows the amount of people in Maxine's office building to get to work. And there are 350 people working in this building. So this entire graph represents 350. So what percentage of the people walk to work? Well, I'm going to look at my legend, right? See, we have one of these legends here. So the walk is this part, the shaded black. I can see it's 3%. So 3% of, so in terms of the first question, what percentage of people walk there? So it's 3% of the 350 people walk to work. The next question it asks us is, how many people does this represent? Well, let's think about this. When you ever see the word of, 3% of, this represents times. I'm going to multiply. Whenever you see a percentage, this represents 3 over 100, right? Percent, divide by 100, percent. 100 cents in a dollar, divide by 100. So 3 over 100 times 350. So 350, sorry, 3 over 100. Use your arrow buttons, times 350. 10 and a half. I can't have half of a person, right? So this is where, again, you do your best here. This is probably like 3.2% or something like that. But we're going to, you can either round up or you can round down. You need to have a full person. You can't just take a sword and lop them in half. That's not how it works. So it's 10 or 11 people who walk to work. Estimates are fine. You're going to have to do them a little bit here, unless you want to get a really detailed pie chart, but we're not doing by freehand. So what percentage of the people come to work in a car? And again, so question 1, what percentage? And then how many people is that? So carpool, I can see is 9%, right? How many people is this? Oh, sorry, in a car. I already made a mistake. Who carpool or who car alone. So I need to add these up, right? So actually what this is it's 61% who drive themselves and 9% who carpool. It's 70% come in a car. So you got to read it carefully. Even I just made that mistake there, right? So now, how many people is that? Remember, so 70% of 350 people come to work in a car. So 70%, oh, that's 70 over 100. Of is times 350 is, well, just 350. Pop in your calculator, right? 70, 100, arrow key times 350. 245. This times gives us a nice clean number. So 245 people take a car every day. I'm going to circle my answer. So question C. Now consider everyone who carpools, walks, or bikes. Is this more? Is this group, if I add up the people who carpool, who walk, and bike, is this more or less than the number of people who take public transport? And then how many more? How many more or less? So there's two questions here, right? So first thing here is we're going to look at, okay, how many people carpool? I'm going to put C. How many people walk? I'm going to put W. How many people bike? Sorry, car P. Well, in terms of carpooling, I know it's 9%. In terms of walking, I know that is 3%. And then if I look at how many people bike, that's this little like crisscross pattern. It looks like it's 5%. 9 plus 3 plus 5 should give me 17%. Oops. Now, if I look at the number of people who take the public transport is 22%. Public transport is 22%. So, but I haven't answered my question. Read the question carefully. It's asking, is this more or less than the number of people who take public transport? There are less people who take, I'm going to put, car, to carpool, walk, and bike. Then there are people who take public transport. Okay? So cool. I've done question 1. Now I need to work on question 2. How many more or less? I could say 5%. That's a cop-out. So I know, oh, it's 22 minus 17. So 5% more, right? So there's two ways I could do this. I could convert 17% into the amount of people. I could convert 22% into the amount of people. So you could do it that way and just do it that way. Or I could just take, I know that it's only actually 5%. So there's 5% more people, right? So why don't I just calculate what 5% of 350 is? So 5 over 100 times 350. 17 and a half. Doesn't work that well here. So I'm going to try that other way just in case. Now, if you were to put 17 or 18 here, I would accept that. But I want to show it if I did the other way. So what if I take 17% of the, or 22% of the people, right? So 22 over 100 times 350. Oh, that's 77. So I'm just going to write that here really quickly, 77. And I subtract that away from here. So I could take now 17% of the 350 people, which is 59 and a half. So never mind. Nope, 17 or 18 works. So 17 or 18. And you know what? Honestly, if you were to just give me like just the 17 or 18, I would accept that. Okay. So reading them, understanding them, not the worst thing in the world. Drawing them, a little bit tricky. You're going to want to be space conscious here. There's going to be a lot. So question 2 is Jasmine has surveyed students at her college and to find out how they commute to school, and the results are shown in the table below. Create a circle or a pie chart of it. So remember what I said before. I need to have the percentage. I need to have the amount. I need to have the degrees. This here is the amount, right? So this here is the amount. If I were to add these up, 75 plus 20 plus 5 plus 75 plus 10 plus 15, I will get there are 200 people. But now I want to know, what is that going to be in terms of a percentage? So let's quickly draw this out a little bit. And I want you to actually do this. Anytime before you draw, just do this. Take your chart, extend it out, do this work. Okay? So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to find the percentage. Finding the percentage is really easy. To find the percentage, take the number of the sample, divide by the total, right? So if I'm saying 75 of 200 people, so 75 of 200, oh, that's not right though. Then times by 100. Times that by 100. Okay, 37.5. Let's keep it simple. Let's say either 37 or 38. Doesn't matter what. I'm going to say 37. Now, keep in mind, though, I know that this needs to add up to 360. So if I'm rounding down for this one, I'm going to have to round up for another one, or I'm going to have to give another one an extra number. That's okay. We are freeballing it. All right. So find a percentage of carpools. Well, it's 20 over, there's 200 people, times by 100. Going to give me 10%. For this one here is going to be 2.5%. I rounded this one down. Let's round this one up to 3%. For 75, oh, I know that's 37.5. I'm going to round that one down again. 37. Wait. No, I didn't. Okay. Now for this one here, for a bicycle, 10. So that's half of this, which is 5%. Now 15 over, sorry, space divided by 200 people times 100. 7.5. I rounded this one down. I'm going to round this one up to 8%. So before I continue, let's make sure this adds up to 360, right? So I'm really going to add all these up and make sure that adds up to 360. Sorry, 100. Sorry, this is supposed to be 100%. This is not degrees. This is percentages. 37 plus 10 plus 3 plus 37 plus 5 plus 8. 100%. Perfect. Good to go. So now I'm going to do the degrees. And to find the degrees, just like before, take the number of sample, divide by the total, and there I need to times this by 360 because it's 360 degrees. So, oh, sorry, don't do this. Take the percentage as a fraction. Actually, no, I'm going to write that how it was. So I'll give you an example here. So I'm taking 75 over 200. I'm going to times that by 360 because it's 360 degrees. Gives me 135 degrees. So you try for these ones here. Give you 3 seconds. 2, 1. So for the carpool, I know I have 20 over, there's 200, right? Number of sample 20, total, which is 200, times by 360 degrees, gives me 36. And I'll just give you guys the answers here, so on and so forth. Just like before, you may need to round a little bit, which is totally fine. you want at the end of the day, all of this needs to add up to 360 degrees. If it's off by one, adjust one of these numbers by one. This one here is 135. This one here is 18, and this one here is 27. Let's make sure we got that right. All right, add it all up, make sure it works. Yeah, it works. Add on 360. So I've done the first part here, which is I've figured out the percentage, the amount, and the degrees. Now what I need is I need to draw a circle. I'm just going to draw a nice big circle here. That up here a little bit. Now, if you look at the pie charts up here, you see a legend. I need to do a legend as well. Now, there's a couple ways you can do this. One is I could, so first off, I have 6 of these. So if I have 6 of these, I'm just going to go, I'll show you how to do this both in colors, which is really easy. 3, 4, 5, 6. And I'll show you how to do it if you just have like a pencil, like black and white. But I do recommend trying to have some colors. So let's start with colors. Obviously, that one's really easy. You just got to go here. We'll make this one dark green, this one blue, this one gray, this one red, so on and so forth. So I can do it that way. Or if I'm stuck with using just like a black pen, I could go with this one blank. I'm going to say this one here is, oops, not that. This one here is dash, just like before, from left to right. Maybe this one here is dots. Maybe this one here is dash from right to left. Maybe this one here is crisscrossed. Maybe this one here is just black and solid. So you need to have a legend, and then we need to categorize stuff, right? So this is the car alone. This here is carpool. This here is motorbike. This here is bus, bike, and walk. So either of these work. I'm going to use colors just because I can. So now that I have my circle, I'm going to put a nice little dot right here in the middle. Very important. Try and find the middle of it. So this is the hard part typically, which is how do I find where this is? Normally you could use a nice protractor here. Normally I can use a protractor, which is nice and easy to use. So you can use the compass, but we're not going to do that. We're going to assume you don't have one. Now instead, think about this. All of this is 360 degrees. That would make, if I cut this in half, each of those sections there is, sorry, let me use a dotted line. Dashed one. And we're going to set a really nice, just gray one here, right? So just lightly pressing your pencil. So this line here, I actually draw a line. So this line here, I'll make that a bit darker for you guys, actually. I take a ruler, go from one edge to the edge. So this is 180 degrees. Let's split it in half again. Each of these is now 90 degrees. Let's split this in half again. Each of those is now 45 degrees. So each of these sections now is 45 degrees. So I can use that information. So if this one here is 135, starting here, I'm going to use green. So this one, so 135, so that's the case. One of these sections is 90. Two of these sections, I still have 45 remaining, another 45. So this one here would be 3 of these sections here. I'm going to do this. Go. I'm going to indicate that on my actual border as best I can. Okay, so this one here is the car people drive alone. Now for 36. So if this is 45, 36 is going to take up most of this, right? So we'll say like about right here. You're just doing your best. So this one here is people who carpool. The next one's the next 9 degrees. 36 plus 9 is 45, which would be this whole section, the remainder of this section. And again, it doesn't have to be perfect. It's pretty difficult. We're not giving you guys compasses this year. So next is 135. Well, I know that before that was 1, 2, and 3 full sections. I start with a full section. So I'm going to do that. 1, 2, 3, right here. And right here. Then I have people who bike and walk. So biking is 18 degrees. So if this is a whole 45, half of this is about 27 and a half, a little bit less than half of it here. Mm, change the color. Like a pink. Sure. Which would be about, right, put your ruler there. And then the last one here, which is yellow, is walk, which would obviously be whatever's left. Now this all looks about right. Nothing's too big, too small. It's not going to be perfect. You're drawing a hand, but that's what this is. So all I got to do now, one final part, label it. This is the mode of transportation to school pie chart. Now, if you prefer written instructions, I recommend you write that down here now. The first thing you do is you add up the total amount. Then you need to figure out then you need to convert to degrees, sorry, to percentage. Then you need to convert to degrees. You need to draw a legend. You need to split into 8, which are 45 degrees each. And then you just need to draw it as best as you can. And if you want your instructions for how to do percentages, how to do degrees, you can do that up here. Okay, so what you guys can do now here is you can complete all practice and review questions, complete the assignment on the LMS, and complete the chapter test.